Play the dubstep this time.
Welcome to our opening campfire. My name is John Lauber. Tonight, tonight you will witness much of the history of this place and meet many of the characters who traveled through this area. Philmont's history is hundreds of years old and is being written constantly. You are the next chapter. With that said, I ask you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Yeah!
So how you doing tonight?
Pretty good, how are you, sir?
Not too bad. Where have you come from?
In Oklahoma.
Well, how long did it take to get here?
Actually, it took us 5 days.
But you're overjoyed to be here, am I right?
Oh, yeah.
Marvelous. Howdy, Slim.
Well, now, howdy, sir. Welcome to the Philmont Rocky. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine. You remember Omar?
Yeah.
Yeah, my cow. He's not doing too well, though, Slim. You know, I took him up to a peak.
Well, you know, that's a shame, sir. Omar was a mighty fine specimen of a camel.
I know.
At any rate, who's this you got here with you?
Well, this here is the new scout joined us this week.
Howdy, I'm Steve.
Well, now, howdy, Steve. Welcome to the Philmont Rocky Mountain Scout Camp. What have you been up to so far?
Well, we hiked over this big called the Art Peak. Then as we get to our camp, we saw this big rock with Indian rats.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, you saw Indian rats, huh? Did anyone happen to tell you what tribes might have drawn them?
No, sir.
Well, you see, Stephen, no one knows exactly which tribes might have joined
It's
him.
Steve, by the way.
There used to be many tribes used to live in this area. Let's see, we had the Hickory Apache, Comanche, the Utes, and the Kiowa. They all used to live in these hills around us.
What happened to him?
Well, you see, Steve, no one really knows what happened to them. Other people moved in and things started to change.
What kind of people?
Well, first came the Spanish conquistadors looking for gold, and then came the Spanish Roman Catholic missionaries. They started moving in about 400 years ago.
Yeah, then after that came all the settlers traveling out west in search of their new lives. They came by the hundreds and thousands in covered wagons and burros. And they came using the Santa Fe Trail, which in fact passes right through this very camp.
You know what, Steve? Come over here for a sec.
You got my name right.
You see that there rock formation?
No?
Well, it's right over there in the dark. It's a little bit later than what we usually do the campfire, so you can't see it quite right. At any rate, if you can see it, it looks like a tooth if you use your imagination. It's called the Tooth of Time. It's called of time because it marked the distance from Santa Fe. The folks in the wagon trains knew that once they saw that rock, they're only a week's journey away from their new home.
Wow, are you guys telling me traveled right through this camp?
Yep, and not just travelers either. All sorts of people came down the trail. We had merchants, missionaries, seekers of fortune, outlaws, you name it and they came. One of the most famous men to come down the trail even lived here for a short time, the mountain man, Kit Carson. Now, Kit was born in what we now call the state of Missouri. State of Missouri back in 1809, but he left his home at an early age to become a trapper in the West.
Yay-ha! Yes, sirree! I was 16 years old when I left home to go see all that I could see. About the same age as y'all are. Where y'all from, anyway? Utah! Utah! Whoa, 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 whoa. We got a Riley bunch in the front here. We have to deal with these guys. Where are you from, boy?
Utah!
Wait, you work here. I don't want to know where you from. Where are you from, boy?
Michigan!
Michigan. Now, I'll tell you. Y'all from Utah?
Yeah!
All right. Michigan's farther away, right?
Yes.
All right. I'll take the word. No, I tell you, I did not come as far to get here as Michigan, but I guarantee you, because you got the camera. It took me longer than it took you to get here. It took me weeks and weeks of riding burros and wagons right down the Santa Fe Trail. In fact, I passed right under the tooth that you can't see just yonder on my way to Taos. Just, boy, stand up. Stand up, boy. Stand up. Know what we do the likes of you? Yeah. Stand. Kneel. Kneel. On your knees.
We don't need him, it's okay.
Flip over. Flip over. Get down, on your stomach. All the way. Flip over, boy. Flip over.
On your stomach.
This is how we dealt with some witches. Now, during my days as a mountain man, I settled down in Taos. There I got to know the indigenous peoples. In fact, I knew them so well, I could speak 8 different Indian languages. But none of y'all can do that. That's what I thought.
Skit can.
You can? Say hello. In Iroquois.
Iroquois?
Iroquois. Did I stutter? I've had enough of y'all. I'm talking to you from now on. And the guy with the camera, because he has the camera. Now, y'all might be thinking, Gold Kid Carson here must have lived a pretty peaceful life. I'll tell you, that ain't so. I spent some time fighting in the California territory during the Mexican-American War. He dead yet? I spent some time fighting in the California territory during the Mexican-American War. Now, who here has ever been to California? Keep your hands raised. Keep your hands raised. Now, keep your hands raised if you ever been to San Diego. You ain't never been out of New Mexico. You put your hands down. Now, keep your hands raised if you ever been to North County.
Wait, I don't know. Where's
Keep
that?
your hands raised if you ever been to Escondido. Why are you putting your hand up again? That don't make no sense. Now, keep your hands raised if you've been to the Kit Carson Memorial Museum.
Yeah, in Taos.
Right here.
Blind boy. None of y'all. Kit Carson has no friends among you tonight. Anyway, in honor of my services, I was appointed official negotiating agent to the Ute and Apache tribes. Now understand, at the time, many people would love to see them all wiped out. Not me. It was my honor and responsibility to peacefully relocate them to a new land where they can live out the rest of their lives in peace. And I did my duty with honor. Tell y'all, sure has been nice being back in these hills again. Many fond memories being out here. It's been nice to see even all y'all down here. Tell y'all what, y'all should meet my dear friend, Lucian Maxwell. He'd love to meet y'all.
Have fun.
Uh-oh, danger.
Well, folks, that's about all the time I have for you tonight. That's how Kit Carson takes care of them witches. Adios, compadres.
Yep, Kit Carson. Kit Carson, quite the ledger on these parts. Even before his death in 1868. You know, you can still see the place where Lucian Maxwell.
Wow, my grandpa told me about the picture of Kit Carson, but he never told me who Lucian Maxwell is. You gotta tell me who he is.
Oh, well, you know, that's not too uncommon, son. You see, Lucian Maxwell isn't as well renowned as Kit Carson, but they were the closest of friends. In fact, they met when they were both hired as explorers of the American West. For a short time, they even tried to convince the American military to establish an army fort just 7 miles from this very spot, right down there by Rayado.
Now? There was once a time when what are you doing, son? Get up my land. You're acting a fool. As I was saying, there was once a time when this was all my land. Even after I sold it, it carried my name, the Maxwell Land Grant. It stretched much farther than any your eyes could ever see. Even if you're standing on the very top of the tooth of time. There was 1.7 million acres of it. Mount Baldy, Lover's Leap, Window Rock, they all belonged to me once. You guys imagine waking up in this beautiful territory knowing it's all yours to explore? No? It's a lot to explore. Now, you may be asking yourself, Lucian, how'd you get 1.7 million acres worth of land? And I'll tell you, I inherited it from my daddy-in-law, Carlos Bobian. And you may be asking yourself, Lucian, I see you bragging about all this land you got, and I ain't seen a lick of work you done to get it. And I'll tell you, any of the work I ever had to do to deserve all this land is waking up to lose Bobian every morning. You guys don't have to wake up to her, okay? You may be saying to yourself, Lucian, I see you bragging about all this land you got. It must be plenty for your own self, Lucian Maxwell. And I'll tell you, that ain't so. Because gold was found in my mountains, don't you know it? Right up in Mount Baldy, in fact. And I made a fortune in the mining industry. But not in gold dust and nuggets, you may presume, no. I leased the land and sold equipment to those more willing than I to live the hard life of a miner. You guys get off my land. You got 7 days. You take my wife with you?
Yep, Louis Maxwell. Lucian Maxwell. Both businessmen, most mines extracted over $76 billion worth of gold in those mountains. Then he went and sold all his land to equipment to a British company. Sorry, mate. Anyway, after selling up all his land equipment, he and his wife retired to the Fort Sumter about 150 miles south of here, where they lived out the rest of their days.
That certainly wasn't a bad turnover for Lucian either. It certainly wasn't. When he originally bought those million acres from his father-in-law's business partner, he only paid 3,000 buckaroos for it. Now, Lucian's brother-in-law, Jesus Gilbreu, was also an important figure in these parts, especially those of us right here in O'Neill headquarters. Abreu bought the land for Lucian, which would one day become this very ranch.
Wow, rich men, explorers, miners, missionaries, even dinosaurs? Is there anything that hasn't happened here? Well, it's your first time here, isn't it? No. You're still here. It's not? No. You know about Jesus Gilbreu. But these fine gentlemen here haven't. You see, Jesus Gilbreu's history wasn't quite as colourful as Kit Carson's or Lucian Maxwell's, but he still had a very important part to play in this area's history. Let's see, he started off as an interpreter for US government during the American War. Then after that, he was a mail runner, carrying mail between Santa Fe and Fort Leavenworth, way over in Kansas. You know that trip took over a month each way? Really? Yeah. He's also known to be a very generous man. Any traveler passing through could be expected to be housed and fed by him.
And you know, it seems that generosity is a trait that runs common in these parts. It sure has. Why, in 1922, an oil man by the name of Wade Phillips bought this property, and he certainly wasn't your typical rich man either. Wade wanted to share this land with everybody, so in 1938, he donated a large part of it to the Boy Scouts of America. That's how you wound up here.